Military 353,016 pages. SIGNINREGISTER. Explore popular pages project maintenance. In articles incorporating text from Wikipedia, tanks, vehicles. Stryker. Formerly known as the Interim Armored Vehicle, the Stryker Light Armored Vehicle 3, LAV-3, is at the center of the Army's Interim Brigade Combat Teams. The IBCTs are lighter and more mobile, yet offer firepower no enemy can hope to match. Strykers are being deployed to units at Fort Lewis, WA. In all, 6 brigades will receive the vehicles. Each brigade will have more than 300 Strykers apiece. In February 2002, the Army named its new interim armored vehicle after 2 soldiers who received the Medal of Honor. The Stryker is named in honor of SPC-4 Robert F. Stryker, who received the Medal of Honor for his actions during the Vietnam War, and PFC Stuart S. Stryker, who received the award for his actions during World War II. Both men were killed in action. They were not related. This is only the second Army vehicle named after enlisted personnel. In the early 1980s, the service named the Division Air Defense Gun for World War I hero Sergeant Alvin York. The system was plagued with problems before then Defense Secretary Caspar Weinberger cancelled it. The Army's LAV is being produced in 2 major variants, the Infantry Carrier Vehicle and the Mobile Gun System. The Mobile Gun System will have a 105 mm cannon, the same gun tube as the one on the original M1 Abrams tank. This is not a tank replacement, but it gives a direct fire capability to support the infantry elements. Before the Mobile Gun System is fielded, units will get the anti-tank guided missile vehicle, which will have a tow system capable of blasting through reinforced concrete bunkers. All of the LAVs will be deployable by C-130 and larger aircraft. As of September 2002, the Army was flying Stryker in C-130s under a temporary waiver issued by the Air Force. The waiver was necessary because the vehicle is too wide to accommodate the 14-inch safety aisle around all sides that is required by the Air Force for the Loadmaster. Additionally, only a portion of its crew may fly in the same aircraft. Yet, the Army disputes claims that Stryker, the centerpiece of its new brigade combat teams, is not transportable via C-130. During the Millennium Challenge exercise, the infantry carrier vehicle variant required multiple alterations to fit into a C-130. The crew removed 2 smoke grenade launchers, all antennas, a left rear bracket that blocked egress over the top of the vehicle, the remote weapons system and the third row wheels bump stop. Reassembly upon landing took as long as 17 minutes. One of the Army's transformation goals is to be able to deploy brigade combat teams anywhere in the world within 96 hours, a division in 120 hours and 5 divisions within 30 days, according to Army Chief of Staff Gen. Eric K. Shinseki. The LAV-3 is considered an interim armored vehicle because it is not the final vehicle that will equip the transformation objective force of the future. This is not an experimental force, rather it represents a force capable of meeting the needs of regional commanders-in-chief, while concurrently assisting the Army in developing doctrine to meet 21st century threats. Contents: Hide. 1. Program. 2. Design. 3. Survivability. 4. Testing. 5. Deployment. Program. In November 2000, the Army took another step into its transformation initiative when it announced that GMGDL's Defense Group had been awarded the contract to supply the Army with the Interim Armored Vehicle GMGDLS in a joint venture between General Motors, Electromotive Division, and General Dynamics Land Systems Division, and is based in Sterling Heights, Mich. The majority of the work on the project is done in the United States and Canada. Army officials signed a $4 billion contract to produce 2,131 LAVs over 6 years. The contract's first iteration calls for enough LAVs to equip the first IBCT at Fort Lewis. Each brigade will have more than 300 LAVs, and the 6 option years of the contract should produce enough LAVs for the first 6 brigade combat teams. A number of subcontractors are used to produce the different LAV configurations and equipment. The prime contractor, GM General Dynamics Land Systems Defense Group LLC, conducts work in 4 primary locations. Structure, fabrication and final assembly of the LAVs takes place in both Anniston, Ayla, and London, Ontario in Canada. Engineering takes place in Sterling Heights, Mich, and upper hull structures are produced at a plant in Lima, Ohio. The contract provides the interim brigade combat team with 2 vehicle variants that are deployable anywhere in the world in combat-ready configurations. The 2 variations of the LAV-3 that are produced for the Interim Armored Vehicle program are the Infantry Carrier Vehicle and the Mobile Gun System. The Stryker has 8 configurations besides the basic infantry carrier model, mortar carrier, reconnaissance vehicle, anti-tank guided missile vehicle, fire support vehicle, engineer support vehicle, command and control vehicle, medical evacuation vehicle and the NBC reconnaissance vehicle. The Strykers are not a replacement for the M1 Abrams tank or and 2 more. SIGNINTOEDIT. Advertisement. 1. Military Wiki Explore Popular Pages Project Maintenance. Fandom. Beta. Fan. Central. Games. Anime. Movies. TV. Video. Wikis. Starter. Wiki. The M3 Bradley Infantry Fighting Vehicle. The Strykers are used in places, such as urban areas, where the heavy armored vehicles are not suitable for the mission. Design. They have a maximum speed of 60 miles per hour and a range of 300 miles on a tank of fuel. The vehicle are swift, easily maintainable and include features designed for the safety of soldiers. The LAV's tires can be inflated or deflated from inside the vehicle to adapt to surfaces ranging from deep mud to hardtop, and it has run-flat tires, a built-in fire suppression system and self-recovery winch. The vehicles run quieter than the current armored personnel carriers, increasing their stealth. They will also give the new brigades a reduced logistics footprint, and make the units cheaper to operate than today's heavy brigades. The interim brigade combat team should be about 25% cheaper to operate than today's heavy brigades. The LAV engine is a Caterpillar engine, which is common to the Army's family of medium tactical vehicles. That means some of the same repair parts can be used. Commonality of equipment reduces the brigade's logistical footprint and support costs and makes the entire vehicle fleet easier to maintain. This will allow the use of the same support structure for all of a unit's vehicles, including mechanics and parts. Reducing its weight is a modification the Stryker underwent before the vehicles arrive in May at 3rd Brigade, 2nd Infantry Division and 1st Brigade, 25th Infantry Division. Both located at Fort Lewis, Wash. The Stryker was reported to be 4,000 pounds more than the 38,000 pound requirement. However, officials expect that the vehicles will meet weight limits, which will allow them to be loaded and transported on a C-130 cargo plane. For vehicles weighing 10 to 20 tons, tracked vehicles have better cross-country mobility in sand, mud and snow than wheeled vehicles, while wheeled vehicles have much better speed and ride quality over primary and secondary roads than tracked vehicles. Survivability. 3 block improvements are planned for the Stryker. A crew installable add-on armor kit that provides 360-degree RPG-7 protection, an internal recoil-mounted 120mm mortar system, and embedded training that will be provided beginning with the 3rd SBCT block. Improvements will be retrofitted to SBCTs 1 and 2 in subsequent years. The Army says the Stryker family of vehicles are considered less vulnerable to small arms and weapons fire than the M113 family of vehicles. The crew and engine compartments of the Strykers are fully protected up to 14.5mm armor-piercing (AP) rounds, while the crew and engine compartments of the M113s are protected only up to 7.62mm AP rounds. Although a 14.5mm armor design was developed for the M113s, the armor was never produced and fielded. The LAV's armor protection will stop 50 caliber bullets and protect against 152mm airburst shells. The basic package on every vehicle is the basic steel hull, which protects against 7.62mm bullets, and then a ceramic applique, which is added on give protection against 14.5mm machine guns. This is similar to the Bradley add-on armor that is appliqued on top. And just like Bradley armor, the Bradleys don't drive around with that. If there is a situation that requires it, the unit deploys with it, and applies it. The Strykers are protected by armor sufficient to withstand 14.5mm heavy machine gun fire and 152mm overhead artillery fire. A strengthened undercarriage protects the personnel inside from mines. Beginning in October 2001, the Stryker underwent coupon testing, which is taking small squares of armor and firing at it with various caliber weapons and munitions at varying distances. After the tests, officials discovered that the initial armor proposed by the contractor was not suitable and changes in the armor were ordered in early 2002. When modifications are made to the armor, the vehicle will be able to stop 7.62mm and 14.5mm armor-piercing ammunitions. GM Defense delivered a new, denser ceramic skin armor for Stryker in May 2002. In the summer of 2003, the first Stryker vehicles had problems with the armor not adequately protecting the crew from 14.5mm fire. This was fixed by backing the ceramic armor on the Strykers with a 3mm steel plate. Depending on the model, up to 126 tiles could be installed. When the LAV-3 add-on armor is mounted, the LAV-3 weighs 43,000 pounds, which precludes C-130 transport altogether. The Army was concerned about the rocket-propelled grenade threat, the enemy's weapon of choice. So 2 new types of armor have been installed on the vehicles. The most obvious add-on to the discerning eye is called slat armor. It resembles a bird cage that will add 3 feet to the Stryker's width. The slat armor installed on the Strykers resembles a big catcher's mask that wraps around the vehicle. The armor is basically a grill of wire mesh that will cause the RPG to detonate away from the vehicle. Plans are in the works to add another type of armor package to the inventory. That add-on armor is called reactive armor. Essentially, that armor explodes when an RPG or other anti-tank round hits it. It's already on M2 Bradley fighting vehicles. United Defense Industries, Arlington, VO, received a $7.9 million contract from GM Defense the 4th of November 2002 to develop and test add-on applique armor that will stop RPG-7 rounds. The contract requires United Defense to develop and test the applique armor by February 2004. If it passes, the company could build 1,600 add-on armor kits by 2006. Production qualification testing of the rocket-propelled grenade-level add-on armor began in May 2003 and found that the armor performance did not meet Army requirements. As a result, the Stryker program experienced delays in all add-on armor-related testing to allow the contractor to refine its armor solution to meet Army requirements. Requalification of the new add-on armor solution resumed in September 2003 and will continue through February 2004. Add-on armor for the Stryker adds approximately 7,000 lbs to the vehicle weight and approximately 12 to 14 inches to each side. To accommodate the increased weight, the tires were inflated to 90 psi and the central tire inflation system, CTIS, was disengaged. As the vehicles moved from a hard surface to a softer one, in a grove of trees, the vehicle's tires sank into the soft ground. The winch on the Stryker is not sufficient to recover a Stryker with add-on armor mounted. Therefore, some other vehicle recovery asset must be used. Another challenge was the problem moving the vehicles down narrow two-lane roads while they had the add-on armor on the Strykers. The vehicles were unable to pass side by side. One driver had to pull off the road to make room for the other vehicle to pass. When he did this, the vehicle would sink into the dirt and require another vehicle to recover it. This made it important for the battalion staff and company-level leaders to ensure that they did detailed mission planning and route selection to reduce the possibility of two vehicles passing. While this does not appear to limit maneuver, it could cause temporary loss of momentum. Advertisement. Testing. In September 2002, the Army Test and Evaluation Command started the 16-day field testing portion of a formal comparison between the new Stryker armored vehicle and the M113, a 3 armored personnel carrier at Fort Lewis, WASH. Formerly dubbed the Medium Armored Vehicle Comparison Evaluation, the test was required by the 2001 National Defense Authorization Act. The comparison started with a 50-mile road march, and the first two mission vignettes are scheduled to begin the 13th of September. A wide variety of data was collected from a platoon of 4 M113A3s rebuilt by Anniston Army Depot, Ayla, and a platoon of 4 new Strykers delivered to Fort Lewis. The Army's 1st Stryker Brigade Combat Team conducted its operational evaluation exercise at the Joint Readiness Training Center in Louisiana. The exercise, named Arrowhead Lightning II, was set to assess the SBCT's ability to conduct early entry and combat operations in a mid to low intensity environment against an unconventional enemy. The exercise was set to take place from May 15-27, 2003. Following a month-long training event at Fort Irwin, CA, that ended in mid-April, the brigade transported 1,500 vehicles, including 293 Stryker vehicles, by air, land and sea to ports close to Fort Polk. Upon completion of the operational evaluation exercise, the Army was to prepare a report to the Secretary of Defense, who would in turn then have certified to Congress whether the results of the evaluation indicate the design of the SBCT is operationally effective and fully trained before it can be deployed on missions worldwide. The 1st Battalion, 24th Infantry, of the 1st Brigade, 25th Infantry Division, SBCT-2, is deployed their equipment and personnel to Fort Knox, KY, to participate in the initial Operational Test and Evaluation, IOT&E, from June-September 2003. The battalion also discovered that while the stryker vehicle can easily ford streams and shallow rivers, soldiers must take care not to exceed certain speeds. They found that if they entered the water at fast speeds, then water would splash up over the front of the vehicle, filling the engine compartment, causing the vehicle to stall. When the vehicle slowed down, the water would not splash over the hull, and allowed the vehicle to move through the water without stalling. The stryker test and evaluation program is challenging because of the requirement to test and evaluate 10 different variants. The Army's OE report concludes, current design and training performance of the 1st SBCT meets the requirements of the organizational and operational concept. Based on the Army's assessment, .ND does not believe there are any unit design issues. However, the OE was not sufficient to completely address the operational effectiveness and suitability of an SBCT, nor did it address the operational effectiveness, suitability, or survivability of the stryker vehicles themselves. Stryker vehicle effectiveness, suitability, and survivability will be assessed in the BRIP report. The Army has completed the stryker IOT&E. .ND's independent evaluation is ongoing. This evaluation will determine the operational effectiveness and suitability of 8 of 10 stryker vehicles types that were available for testing. Deployment. The 1st Interim Brigade Combat Team contains 3 substitute vehicles, because the mobile gun system and support systems for the nuclear, biological and chemical reconnaissance vehicle, and the fire support vehicle, would not be ready by May 2003. The Army will not field an interim brigade combat team supported by all configurations of the stryker until 2005. For the first time since World War I, the 3rd Brigade, 2nd Infantry Division deployed overseas. The brigade's stryker vehicles and other equipment arrived the 12th of November 2003 in the port of Kuwait on board the USNS Shafat and USNS Sisla after a 3-week voyage from Fort Lewis, Wash, via the port of Tacoma. The deployment marks the 2nd time that stryker vehicles have landed on foreign soil though. In August 2003 a platoon from the Army's 1st Stryker Brigade Combat Team conducted a capabilities demonstration in South Korea. The Army is betting much of its future on the success of this 19-ton wheeled combat vehicle wrapped in a steel-grilled hoop skirt. In Iraq, the vehicle's combat debut is unfolding with the Army's 1st Stryker Brigade Combat Team. This much-debated $10 billion experiment aims to field as many as half a dozen 3,600 soldier units equipped with these high-tech, lightly armored vehicles that can speed infantry to a fight. Unlike an Abrams tank or a Bradley fighting vehicle, the stryker is a medium-weight, 8-wheel vehicle that can carry 11 soldiers and weapons at speeds of more than 60 miles an hour. With its giant rubber tires instead of noisy tracks, it is fast and quiet and draws on the brigade's reconnaissance drones, eavesdropping equipment and the Army's most advanced communications gear to outflank an enemy rather than outslug it. All or a portion of this article consists of text from Wikipedia, and is therefore Creative Commons licensed under GFDL. The original article can be found at Stryker and the edit history here. Categories. Community content is available under CC BY SA unless otherwise noted. Advertisement. Explore properties. Fandom. Method. Fanatical. Follow US. Overview. What is fandom? About. Careers. Press. Contact. Popular pages. List of aircraft of the Malaysian Armed Forces. Terms of use. Privacy policy. Digital Services Act. Global sitemap. Local sitemap. Community. Community Central. Support. Help. Advertise. Media Kit. Contact. Fandom apps. Take your favorite fandoms with you and never miss a beat. Military Wiki is a fandom lifestyle community. View mobile site. Download video. Character journeys and N. Follow on IG TikTok. Join Fan Lab.